Eaton is an energy management company that has a site which is what we call industrial, so as a tier 1 supplier, as a tier 1 OEM to car manufacturers and plane manufacturers and so on, and where we have historically played a lot with internal combustion engine parts, and now we are using our knowledge on the electrical side, which is the other side of the business, to obviously work with our customers and help them make the transition towards electrical vehicles, which is a very important stream. On the electrical side, we are working, in fact, not only on the energy transition, but also on circular economy in a way, because obviously we are using Nissan's electrical vehicle batteries that we use either first-hand or second-hand in our storage technology and project, like what we did with the arena, the Johan Cruyff Arena in Amsterdam, where we have a 3 megawatt hour system that has a mix of first mount batteries and second mount batteries coming from used electrical vehicles. So I think we're deploying our technology to the fullest extent throughout the energy transition. Well, obviously the arena was a very big one because this is the biggest deployment of microgrid and storage in a large commercial building in the world, and the arena really took technical risk, and we were working very closely together. But there are two others that are really very interesting. One, which is the microgrid we built in South Africa in our factory. So we have a factory, a campus in South Africa where we are manufacturing some goods for most of our division for the African market. And the grid was not very stable, so we have deployed solar panels, we've deployed storage, we've deployed all our equipment and algorithm and control systems. And basically we are now able to run constantly our factory, even when the power is lost from the grid. We're able to maximize the energy we're taking from photovoltaic PV, and all of this is done while taking down our energy bill by 40%. So it's a very high return project, and it's super exciting because that's a clear way for places where you have poor grid or no grid to basically industrialize and get a constant power supply at a very reasonable cost. And so that's a way forward for countries that did not have the means until now to build very resilient grid. So that's obviously a very interesting area for emerging market. The other thing that's really interesting is people think of investment in renewables and investment in storage and investment in microgrid and so on as something which is expensive and additional. When we got our energy storage business started 6 years ago, we got it started with a project funded by the European Union that we ran in common with Nissan and the Polytechnique from Lausanne and the French CEA and others around providing storage for data centers. Why data centers? Because data centers need to invest in a massive and integrated power supply infrastructure. And what we said is, since you are already investing into this infrastructure, why not use that infrastructure not only to make sure that your servers are safe, but also to give service to the grid, right? To make sure that you help with the decarbonization by being a good player in the future grid. And the reception initially was a bit difficult because data center industry tends to be very conservative. And we just got a Data Center Dynamic Award for the work we did in common with Microsoft, proving that the technology works very well and that you can both sustain your business as a data center and help also the environment and the integration of renewables. So that's a very interesting project also that we just got awarded for. For once, I've always been convinced that obviously the role of public policy in setting the field is super important. But if carbonless technologies are not usable by the public and profitable for the industry, it's not going to take off. It's just going to be too painful. So obviously within the frame that has been set by public policies, by regulation, we're trying to come up with offers that are both profitable for us and our channel to deploy and install, and very easy to consume by the wide public. And I think if you don't have this nexus of who's going to provide the technology, which is generally speaking co-funded initially by the public and the private, then deploys this technology and make sure it works in hundreds of thousands of homes and in millions of vehicles. You make sure that people are going to finance it, and you make sure that it's so easy to use that the public is going to use it. If you don't have all of this, it cannot work. So it's very important to have this dialogue where the industry and obviously the finance and the civil society and of course government and regulators are coming together to discuss how we can move the ball forward together. There are three different outcomes you can think of. The first one is the people you meet, and that's a good opportunity for us to look at all of the ecosystem and people working in that ecosystem. It's actually pretty difficult to innovate at this scale and speed and so on, and a lot of people are trying very different things, and it's very important for us to keep a pulse on what so many people are trying to do, and some things are going to work really well, some things are not going to work out, so it's a way for us to stay connected to this ecosystem of innovation. The second thing we're getting out is we are able to push some important messages. For example, today on the panel I was discussing about the fact that even in Europe, where the politicians are very, very minded to take carbon out, the reality of regulation and what's happening on the ground sometimes is not always aligned, right? So getting messages out is very important. And finally, the third one is really to get a bit of the zeitgeist. It's very important for us to understand what people are talking about, what they are thinking of, and so on. It enables us to anticipate a bit on what's coming, and obviously for us, that's quite important.